So I'm here to explain what happens when Saturn goes into the third house. So the third house is a house that represents siblings, but mainly our younger siblings. It represents short travels, and communication, but mainly written communication versus verbal. This house is originally ruled by Gemini and Mercury, and Mercury represents the hands and the nervous system and the digestive system. The Gemini side, which is that side that is mainly emphasized in this house, represents the nervous system, which is quick messages, quick communication. Mercury is a planet that is pretty fast. It stays in the sign for like a month. So in the third house and the Gemini side is quick communication. And this third house can also represent social media. You can get news quickly. You can communicate quickly through your cell phone, through social media, through text messages. So that's also all tied up and connected to the third house. And in terms of like short travels, that might be like one state away from the state that you are currently in or whatnot. The third house isn't really like long distance travel. That's the ninth house. And because Mercury is like a youthful planet, this is why the house mainly represents younger siblings. Saturn is a planet that represents older things. That's why the 11th house, which is ruled by Saturn, is more so a significator of older siblings. But anyway, Saturn represents debts, debts, like the ones that you owe people, like on your credit card. It can sort of represent death too. It's a significator of karma, paying for your actions. That's what sort of Saturn does. Saturn is one of the two planets that can represent and be a significator of the type of father you have. Saturn and Sun. And as I always say, Saturn likes to put order and structure to whatever sign and house that it comes into. So when Saturn goes into the third house, these people be very damn. One of the emphasis here is careful in how they communicate, either verbally or writtenly. They want to be careful about what they say, what they speak about, because they do not want to be embarrassed and say the wrong things. And that can manifest in many different ways. They cannot want to say the wrong things as in talking about something that they have no idea about what they're talking about. They don't want to just give the wrong information. And these people, they just don't maybe want to talk about things that might get them in trouble. And so, here, this is an emphasis on really being careful with what they write and say. And these people, these are like sort of the people who are in school and everybody got to do a presentation. They would probably sort of be like one of the last few people to want to do a presentation because they don't want to mess up. They don't want to embarrass themselves. So, they'll sort of be one of the last few people to do a presentation, because they don't want to mess up and stuff. So these people might not really speak too much early on in their life, possibly because of that fear of messing up. This can manifest in a way of them this can manifest in them being careful and thinking twice and fearful of maybe some self-expression. These people might not really want to share too much what is on their mind. They might have a journal and they might not want to share what's in that journal. They might keep their music, their poetry, and their thoughts to themselves. And since Saturn is an older, mature planet, this is a person who would really like to have conversations of depth and seriousness and maturity. And remember, the third house is a house that's ruled by Mercury, which is a youthful planet. And Saturn is this older, mature person. So Saturn here, they really don't want to talk about BS and gossip and just, childish things. So these people's sense of communication, it could be dry. You could think something is funny with these people, and they probably won't find it funny at all. You think something is cool and interesting, and they won't really care at all. They will want to talk about something a little bit more death, and I'm struggling to come up with an example. It don't gotta be death like talking about astrology, but these people be they might rather talk about looking for a new house, looking for an apartment, finding out a way to generate more money, invest in the stock market, read the newspaper. They just like to drink coffee. I don't know. They want a little bit more serious and grown style of communication and dialogue between them and the people around them. And what that can do is isolate them in their little friendship circle, because the third house can also represent friends. And Saturn got those rings, those boundaries around it. So these people, they can sort of feel isolated or isolate themselves from people around them. They can just feel as though they just don't relate to the things that people talk about. And that can just make them stand out and be like, oh, I don't want to deal and talk with him or her. Him and her are always so serious, or him or her, we just don't vibe. We want to talk about two different things. So that's something that you can see. But one thing that we can see also with Saturn in the third house is that since these people are fearful and like careful about what they want to say and speak about, this can just make somebody, this can make them like train themselves, refine themselves. Like on the flip side, if they're surrounded by a bunch of people that talks about stuff that they don't really know about, that they're not really educated on, then these people, they might take the time and effort to want to learn about what it is that most people are talking about. Depending on it, it depends on what they're talking about. It depends on a whole lot of things, but I'm just, being broad in general. These people could potentially, if they don't know, if they're hearing a bunch of people talking about something that they don't really know about, then they might want to research on it. They might have the diligence and the patience to research and look up whatever people was talking about. So when it's their turn to speak about something, to speak about that subject, they'll be proficient and they'll kill it. Like, for example, it'll be like being in school and everybody is being asked, everybody's in a line and they're being asked some math problems, a math equation. How do you solve it? What is 2 times a million or whatever? And everybody's messing up. And this question's about to come to you. And you've been practicing for this moment. You've been waiting for this moment. You've been waiting for people. You've been waiting for someone to ask you a question or bring up this subject so that you could kill it. And then it finally comes to you and you will just kill. You'll just kill whatever it is that subject and conversation is. So when these people speak, is what I'm trying to say, they'll speak with depth and they'll know what they're talking about, because they don't really care to speak too much. But when they do speak, it's with purpose, and it's usually with a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting. So they're gonna talk with something with depth. These people can be very straightforward in their communication and very serious. Just be straightforward in their communication in general, either verbally or written. These can be very direct people. And that's just about it for what happens when Saturn goes into the third house of communication. Thank you for watching.